Hey, everybody, it's Drew Scooter. I make Sleep With Me podcast. In case you're never seeing this is Questions Corner. Best place to post your questions is a free post on Patreon where I'm posting this video. But if you post it other places on social media, I can try to find it, or I'll try to check. It'll be a lot slow going because my answers are slow and meandering. And the podcast exists because people that take direct action to support the show. Over the past few months, I've been lucky enough to get a lot of feedback from people who listen to the free podcast and depend on it because they can't afford to support the show, and from a smaller percentage of people that just won't ever support the podcast. But the majority of listeners are well in the middle of those two, and those listeners that support the show on Patreon, support the show on Apple Podcasts, or support our sponsors is literally how the podcast exists. I'm going to answer a few questions. Let's see. Ashwin asked, do you ever fall asleep to sleep with me? No, it's a common question. No. And if you watch the earlier video, I posted, like James had a question about some of the stuff that goes into the show. If I'm listening to the podcast, I'm actively listening. If I'm listening to podcasts at night, I'll be probably only listening because someone asked me a question. And I listen. There's times I've fallen asleep listening to podcast. Recently, the only times I've fallen asleep listening to the podcast is on a plane when when the episodes are already done for Patreon, and I'm listening to it a third or fourth time just to double check and just listen through and kind of see if I catch anything or like anything. I listen to the episodes, and that kind of informs and is one of the things that makes the show work. And occasionally, if I'm on a plane, I'm really tired, and I'm like, well, I got to work on something. Well, let me listen to this episode, and that'll be kind of like somewhat of relaxing because it's already mostly done. That'll be the only time I fall asleep. In the past, I'd fall asleep when editing the shows. During my day job at lunch is when I would edit them, so I'd have had lunch and then be full of lunch and it'd be hot and I'd be falling asleep. But great question. Yeah, no, I don't listen to it. When I'm listening to it, it's not like I'm hypercritical, but I am actively engaged in paying attention, except if I'm really tired, not a plane. But that just happens to be like a kind of perfect combo. Then Mags has had the same question as James, which is a longer video that I posted recently about a lot of the work that goes into the show and how it's kind of hard to explain clearly like what parts of the show are scripted and what parts are ad-libbed, but it really comes down to the short answer is that it's the show is like the freedom of structure is really what creates the show, and it's some writing and some experience and research and all these things coming together. But Mag's second question is, and this kind of was answered in the other video, but I want to answer it again and again and again. Have you learned over the years there are certain type of episodes the audience likes more than others? Personally, I can't fall asleep to anything about food, but I love recaps, walkthroughs, and Ray episodes. I wonder what other listeners prefer. So yeah, that kind of comes down to this thing, Mags, of like, we don't just every listener has their own unique preferences, but they do fall into large Venn diagram circles. And I think the majority of the audience is kind of in the middle. The majority audience just listens to the free podcast, and they just kind of but when you get into Patreon, it's like people that have a little bit more connection to the show, probably been listening longer, and realize this is like want to interact like you are. And when people have that much what do you call that, like have that kind of relationship with the show, you're going to have you're going to have opinions, or what you prefer and what you don't prefer, as you kind of put it. And so not everybody prefers the same things, and usually the more popular something is, the more people skews that they dislike it. So yeah, like some people would only listen to recipe and food related episodes, and then some people would only listen to Ray episodes, but then some people will never listen, or some people will have quit their Patreon because of different things that people are super fans of, like Ray or other things. But we do have 3 styles of shows which most listeners prefer, either all these styles or or one of the styles, or at least they're like, okay, I don't prefer one of these, so I can choose between the other two. And those are potpourri, random style, improv episodes. So that could be an episode about anything. I've just been working on an episode about like lists of summer things to do in upstate New York. And I just recorded the intro. It's Saturday, and I just recorded at 2:00. It's 2:45 now. So potpourri random style episodes, those could be about anything. They could be fiction, they could be nonfiction, they could be research based. Then there's our written episodes, which right now is Make Great Pets. And those are like episodically modular stories that I've written that are like feature a character, series of characters over a 10 to 12 to longer episode season. And those some people really like and really feel strong about, and I feel strong about. Without those style episodes, like each work of each of those style episodes, which I go into in another detail in another video, which I'll post, supports the work and the creativity of the other ones. And then we have TV recap episodes, which are researched, and I don't just sit down and wing it. It's like I watch the episodes, I take a bunch of notes. Sometimes I do more research depending on how long the episode is. And then I sit down and record those. And again, some people love TV recap episodes and some people don't, or some people like certain shows and don't listen to other ones. And those episodes alternate. So, and we have an internal schedule based on the original of the podcast, which is like, the potpourri episodes are called Trending Tuesday episodes. They used to come out on Tuesdays. Then the scripted episodically modular episodes come out on Thursdays. And but now they come out, like if an episode comes out on Wednesday, if a Tuesday style episode comes out on Wednesday, a Thursday style episode will come out on a Sunday. And then the Sunday style episodes are TV recaps. That would come out on the next Tuesday. So we alternate between those three styles of shows, sometimes mixing in all intro episodes on long weekends, or now we're cutting back a little bit for the summer to try to do some cost savings. So we're running repeats. Or if there's some sort of hiccup, we might change the schedule or run 2 potpourri style episodes. We have tried staying in season, like when The Good Place was on the air, that they were the PR company was easy enough to work with that we're able to get those episodes early. So we tried to respect that and put out an episode of The Good Place every single week. And then we try to do that with The Mandalorian as well. I think I'm just on the first season, and we got feedback from people that just got tired of TV recap episodes and realized, okay, that 3-way alternation works. We may go to a 4-way alternation with an extra style episode in the future, but I'm still not sure as we try to like navigate, what's Sleep With Me going to look like in 2024? But yeah, alternating between those ones kind of fits that. Let's see. Christina said same here, but not. So Christina, I don't know which comment you were same hearing though. Yeah, people are writing their favorite episodes. All right, so that's it for those questions, and I'll try to answer the questions on the next post soon, and then the questions from this post video soon too. Thanks, everybody.